Hey everyone, welcome to the Industry Show. I'm your host Nitin Bajaj, and joining me today is Kevin Parikh. Kevin, welcome on the show.
Hi, Nathan. It's great to see you, and you look like you're doing very well in the midst of the latest lockdown.
Thanks, Kevin. We're doing as much we can, but great to have you here. Now let's get started with who is Kevin?
I think that's a bit of a loaded question, Nathan. I think when I consider the value that has mattered the most to me over the years, it's been leadership. We run our business based upon a very basic principle, and that is as follows. Leaders aren't appointed, right? Leaders are followed. And that means that we are propped up by the support of those that believe in us. And so to be a leader, it doesn't mean that you're a manager or you've been appointed to a position. You have to have actually people that believe in you and what you're doing. And that's how we run our business. And that's how I live my life. We are really nothing but servants of those that are our employees, our family members. And if we're doing it the right way, we'll be great leaders as well.
Now that we know a little about you, we'd love to get your perspective on some of these themes that are impacting us as a community. We'd love to play this game with you. In one word, underrated or overrated? Let's get started.
All right, let's do it.
Okay. Stock market prices,
Overrated,
startup valuations,
way overrated,
DEI.
underrated.
Okay. What about cash?
I think underrated,
Okay. The great resignation.
underrated,
Okay. Metaverse.
underrated.
Okay.
And I'm happy to talk about why I believe so. But
Sure. Uh, what about stakeholder capitalism?
I think that's probably a bit overrated.
Okay. Crypto.
Uh, I'm changing my opinion on this. I thought it was overrated. Now I think it's underrated. I've shifted.
Okay. What about NFTs?
Same answer.
All right.
Yeah.
And inflation.
My gosh, we are going to experience more inflation. We probably underestimated what we're going to
Mhm.
see, is my guess.
Okay. And then the last one, real estate prices.
Well, we live in California, so I think there's no limit to real estate prices.
I agree. Well, that was awesome. Thank you for playing with us. We really appreciate it. Now let's talk about something more fun. What is Avasant?
I think we are a fortuitous company. Our focus has been on understanding the nexus between technology and business. And the key with us, I think it's been different than most other businesses, is we're not really an IT consultancy. We're really a data-driven business that's focused on how to do deals, technology deals. So think of us like an investment banker that's trying to do large-scale transactions. We do that, but technology transactions, large outsourcing deals, large IT deals, 50, 100 million, $250 million a year deals. We do about $20 billion of transactions a year for our clients, which are mainly Fortune 1000. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to execute on a business transformation. And post-coronavirus, that's all they care about is they want to be more digitally savvy. They want to engage with their customers more directly. They want to take advantage of digital communication capabilities. That's not just Zoom, but that's everything that comes in the next stage of evolution, from holograms to you name it,
Yep.
right? They want that engagement. You mentioned the metaverse. I call it the omniverse,
Yes.
because the omniverse is way beyond just what Facebook is doing or Zuckerberg. It's what every company will do, and every channel that we've historically seen. There could be multiple verses that we can operate, sell in, live in, deliver, and execute in. Now, as a human being, I find it all very depressing because I like to live in the real world. But to answer your question simply, we're a business transformation company. We're enabling that with our customers and our clients through transactions, technology transactions, and we're accelerating their move forward into digital and helping them work in the 21st century and be competitive.
Kevin, what's the size and scale of your operations today?
We have about 200 consultants and research analysts and benchmarking experts and lawyers. We're deal makers at the end of the day.
Right.
So that would make us one of the largest IB firms in the world in terms of size. We will grow over the course of the next year by another 100 people. We grew 40% in this last year. We're a high revenue organization because of the transactional revenue passing through us. As I mentioned, we do about $20 billion of deals a year, both from a benchmarking to deal negotiation to strategy. And I think that if you look at our footprint, as you said, yes, we're in many countries. But that doesn't really tell the story. I mean, of course, one of our big investments is in Dubai right now, and it's coinciding with the Expo. And it's wonderful to see our new office grow there. I think that the story of Avasant has more to do with the multifaceted interdisciplinary capabilities. So instead of focusing on just mass number of transactions, we focused on the depth and breadth of those deals. And so today I can tell you we have a healthcare practice. We have a retail practice. We're going deep. We're understanding what these different verticals, what it will be like to work in these verticals, what type of innovation will they need to succeed and survive in the 21st century. So I don't think we can be successful as a business unless we really are deep. And today we are covering 40 micro verticals. So, and that's because within healthcare, there might be 3 verticals. There could be, life sciences, there's the payers, the providers. So it's important to really understand it at that level to be able to provide meaningful guidance. So I say, yes, we're operating in a number of countries. Yes, we have tremendous growth. We've got, we'll see a more employees being hired, and we've got a 40% growth we're coming off of last year. But I think the real growth is understanding and investing in these micro industries.
What's the biggest business challenge you're facing?
Believe it or not, it's not the business itself. It's the grand challenges that we take on. That's the great challenge. So, but let me set that aside for 1 minute. I want to be a little practical first. We're all facing the challenge of the Great Resignation. And we're all facing tremendous impact of human capital. And so why is that happening? In my humble opinion, several things have happened all at once, triggered by the pandemic. The first, of course, is we have a desperate need for different types of workers that can work remotely, that have digital skills, workers that can actually support this digital economy that's being built. That's first. Secondly, those that didn't need to work recognized that they could leave the market. They actually had a moment to get off the treadmill, the rat race, and they said, I don't need to do this anymore. I can actually stop. And that was what many of the baby boomers made the decision to do. And then there's a whole third sector of people that recognize that they have to go back to school because they don't know anything about what this new market requires. And they have to reevaluate and reassess. And actually, you saw applications back into universities climb on the rise. They went through a dip and then they went back on the rise. So I think what we're seeing here is that, okay, of course, there's also at the same time labor shift going on, because when all the boundaries between countries have fallen, because we can all communicate the way you're here in California, I'm here in California, you might as well be in London, it wouldn't matter. So all of a sudden, the labor has shifted freely without any interference of borders, which means we can hire in Mexico, we can hire in India, and as easily somewhere else. So this is quite an interesting time to hire, because you're now competing in markets that you never thought you were competing with before, at salary levels you never thought you were competing with before. And in a period of 3 years, we are going to see labor rates rise in a skyrocketed fashion in India, in Mexico, and in areas which have historically been underrepresented, not in terms of skilled labor, but in terms of their place in the global economy. And you're going to see challenges in the United States as well, and in really industrialized economies to keep up. So this is really the great equalizer that Thomas Friedman talked about, actually, in his book, The World is Flat. I mean, he was very open about this, but we've actually now achieved that, and we're quickly moving to that point of labor equilibrium. But what is it really, the grand challenges part, what does it really give us? And then it gives us an opportunity as humanitarians to take advantage of this to do better. You know, Avasant's been investing in my foundation into digital skills. We've been doing it for some years, but now that foundation has more value because we can help fill the gap, the skills gap that exists in some of these developing economies and even in our own. So we have an opportunity as entrepreneurs to actually do some good things, in addition to, you know, grow our businesses. And I think when that ecosystem is fulfilled and we're filling the glass as much as we're drinking from it, you have, real success.
What's the most exciting opportunity you're targeting?
I think that I'm a strange person. I'm highly excitable. I find opportunities in so many things. Mm-hmm. The key for our business and what we've done well is we've stayed focused. But I think I probably would take a step back and say, we live in a time when we will need to invest in the future for our children. I'm very, very much afraid with some of these great opportunities that are in front of us. Metaverse, for example, mm-hmm. It is frightening to think that we might spend more of our time in a virtual environment or an augmented environment than in the real world. To think that we might be paying more rent for our housing and living space in the virtual world than we might in our own world. To think that in that new universe, if we buy a car or buy a painting, we have to pay for it twice. Mm-hmm. You own it here. If you want a virtual version of your car so that you can drive it virtually in the virtual world, you'll have to pay a virtual charge. All of that sounds incredibly unappealing to me. And so we have a decision to make as human beings. Is that technology and those universities and environments that are going to be made, are they going to rule us? And who are the rulers of those environments going to be? And I don't need to say any names, but I think you know what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. Who's going to be the big brother or the big sister or whoever it might be mm-hmm. in that world? I think that's more of what we have to do, because you and I, Nitin, we come from a generation that grew up without technology, yep. but lived within the point of time that technology became what it is today, and saw everything else in between. And so we actually have context, and we can say that maybe this is not such a good value system. I've seen it differently.
Would love to hear a lesson learned and a success story that you're really proud of.
Well, Nitin, first of all, this is a great question, but I'll tell you that you may not appreciate my answer, because as far as I'm concerned, there is no such thing as a failed opportunity It's just an opportunity that we give up on.
Yes.
And so when I consider or think about our own business, the decisions that we've made, we set a direction. And when we stay focused on an opportunity, yes, there'll be failures. We learn, we make course adjustments, but failures are just stepping stones to that success. So what I would say, Nitin, is that in my personal experience, it's the clarity of vision that matters first, but then also willingness to move off that vision, make adjustments to allow those failures to teach you the road to success. So I hope that is an appropriate answer. But when it comes to our business, one of the key examples is, we had invested in a governance platform in 2008. Mm-hmm. And we've been investing in that platform for years. If we were a private equity firm investing in this platform, we would have given up after 3 years, maybe not even that long, and either sold our interest or bugged out. Mm-hmm. But we knew that the market needed, and our customers needed, this contract governance platform, which is actually what it was. So we stayed on it, stayed focused on it. And ultimately, we were able to, on that one platform, generate about $20 million. And then we continued to grow that. And now, of course, it's a big business line for us. Okay. But had we given up on the investment with an arbitrary 3 years, or had we not made the appropriate adjustments and learnings from the failures, we would have never achieved. There's no expiration date on success. Mm-hmm. It takes time and hard work.
Now, on to my favorite part of the show, one-line life lessons. Lessons that have come to define you. These are simple yet profound and can be captured in one line. Kevin, would love to hear some one-line life lessons from you.
I think, Nitin, put as much energy in the grand challenges that need to be solved as into your own business. And if you go into it with that attitude in everything that you do, you'll create a harmony and balance. And you'll make your private activities, your professional activities, more valuable. And I think about all the time the investments that we made in the foundation, the digital investments that we made to help drive skills training. Well, we could have never imagined that those investments in students today would have so much meaning today. They actually help our business, if you think about it, because we hire from those classes, from those students. We also help our partners by driving more opportunity in those regions where those young people are. So there's this great synergy that happens when we make that investment. Two, I go back to the thing that I mentioned first about leadership. This is really a very important lesson. Servant leadership. Mm-hmm. There is no such thing as being a leader unless you have people following your vision and dream. Respect them for that, and appreciate that you have a fiduciary responsibility to that. 3, greed. There is absolutely no value in greed. The more that you chase money, the more the money will be fleeting, because we're in a finite life, Nitin. True. We're not taking any of this with us. Mm-hmm. We were never intended to hoard wealth. We were only intended to be stewards of it for a moment in time. And the question is, what are you going to do with that stewardship? Mm-hmm. Are you going to be a vessel to create value, or are you going to be a vessel for consumption? It's not even possible, right? It's not even possible. These 3 primary focus points, I think, for me, are enough in terms of my guiding principles. Yeah. I do believe that there is a larger vision for humanity. And if we align our businesses to what we believe are the best values that we can set forth, and we can offer to the world, I think that we will all be better for it. I teach a class. It's a guest lecture that I do every semester at USC, and it's on social entrepreneurship. And what it really teaches young entrepreneurs is how they can treat their nonprofits as real businesses with real metrics and align their success and their targets to that. And what comes from that is the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal targets, and how those targets cascade down. It's very interesting. I am a longtime member and CEO of the United Nations Global Compact, and I regularly speak at the General Assembly and have meetings to talk about the subject, because there is a lot of science around how we manage our businesses. When you set your targets, and we all set our targets of our organizations to certain global targets, whether that's for a clean environment, to eradicate poverty, to educate people, to use sustainable materials in our businesses, it has a exponential multiplier effect. So as I take these three primary principles and I apply them in my own life, I believe that we should be identifying global targets in our businesses, not just those that create value for us personally.
Kevin, thank you for sharing those. We really appreciate it. And for our audience, we have an entire collection that you can see on OnelineLifeLessons.com and wherever you socialize online.